Hello, the world of the internet. For you people who don't know me, my name's Ryan Gray. Served 16 years in the army, and this is a video about male mental health and how to get help, or if you are struggling on stuff, then there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a few things that's gone on recently, and I've been thinking about making a video for quite a long time, and I wish I started some sort of YouTube thing when I left the army, because the process of leaving the army is not a simple thing by all means. It doesn't matter if you do 3 years or 16 years or 22 years. The process for everybody's different, completely different. I went to leave the army 3 times, 4 times, probably more. But it comes to a point where the army sort of wraps you up and you get used to being in the army, and you don't think that you can cope out of the army. So, different people handle it different ways. It doesn't matter, like I say, it doesn't matter if it's 3 years or 20 years, For me, joining the army was escape from what could have happened, if you want to put it that way. I left school with hardly any grades. I was one of them people at school who didn't really care much about anything. And I left school and soon realised that you can't really go around being that way. So the only place that would take me up was the army. So I joined the army, thanks to my Uncle Sean. I owe my life to my Uncle Sean. So I joined the army, a 16-year-old, 1996. I left school 3 months, joined the army. And 16 years later, it's made me the man I am today. And it's not just the army that gives you mental health issues. It's a lot of issues. People get PTSD from being raped. People get PTSD from being stabbed in a nightclub, or PTSD in a nutshell is the same thing. It's just people get it from different areas or walks of life, and anxiety as well, and depression. People, the symptoms, all that, are generally the same between people who you speak to. It's just how you get them are different. I don't know what's going on with me here, but yeah. So I did 16 years in the army. I left in 2014, and I left not because I couldn't hack it. I left because my mental health. I had severe depression, severe anxiety, and I haven't told anybody. This video will probably answer a lot of questions for a lot of people, like who's close to us. And I'm putting it out there because there's a few things happened recently that's quite shocking to me and a lot of other comrades who brothers in arms. I don't want to go into too many details, but it's too many people suffer in silence, and you can't, suffer in silence when you've got PTSD, anxiety, depression, especially being in the forces when it's a male environment and you have to be big and macho and stuff. Anyway, I left in 2014 because I had depression, because I had massive anxiety issues, and the only way I could see me leaving, or the only way I could solve the problem, was me leaving the army. When I was in the last year or so in the army, doesn't matter what job you're in, everybody comes across people in the job that you don't like, or you don't get along with, or people stab you in the back or whatever. And I'm not going to name no names, because I've got no hatred towards any of these people at all, because at the end of the day, it's made me who I am, and I'm not really asked who you are, you know what I mean? But what it is, I was so depressed, I would vision myself, when I was driving home, I would vision myself smashing my car against a tree and dying. I wasn't going to commit suicide by a long shot, but when you've got depression, when you've got anxiety and PTSD, you sort of zone out and you like see these things flashing in your brain, and it's like you're driving and you see them flashing, and it's like images in your head, like you think, right, if I drive against that tree, all my problems will go away. When then you think about, well, my problems won't really go away because you've got family and friends and all that sort of stuff, and it's sort of like you contemplate myself a lot, you know. So the only way I could see about, like, in this depression, I've had depression before in the past where, and this depression was so extreme that because the army is the army, you have to go to work and you have to come from work, you have to go in at a certain time, you have to do fitness, you have to do all these things, and you do get people screaming, shouting at you every day, and you know, you just get on with your job, what you need to do. But that's by the by, that is what it is, you know what I mean? But if anybody's got any issues with anything like anxiety, depression, you have to look at yourself and go, why have I got anxiety? Why have I got depression? I had depression because of the army, because I had, like, when I was in the army, I had 3 jobs. I was going in very, very early, finishing very late on the night, and I was basically grafting my nuts off all the way through, and I would have basically no time off at all. And the time off I did have, it's just, and I thought to myself, the only way you can take yourself away from that is if I leave the army. And it's the same if anybody else has got any issues, depression, anxiety, or PTSD happens, because my PTSD is a separate issue I'll talk about later on, but my depression is because of the army, you know, and I'm grateful for the army. 16 years in the army is amazing, you know what I mean? And yeah, and so I thought, right, I'm going to leave. So I left. Then what happened when I left, the only way I can describe it was like a plug coming out the sink or a bath, and all these emotions just went out. I couldn't sleep, and when I was sleeping, I was getting nightmares. And these nightmares, for the first year, I thought that was just normal. You know, I didn't realise that they weren't normal. I didn't have any, like, nightmares about committing suicide, and I never ever had any. As soon as I left the army, that problem was gone. And what happened consequently after when I left the army was PTSD, you know what I mean? So I had depression up until I left, severe depression, and I, you know, if anybody's got depression, you need to look yourself and go, why have I got depression? You know, people get depression with a lot of different things, and you need to focus on why have you got it, so you can get rid of it. Then you can focus on the positive, like, you know, moving on with your life. So I left, and I got all this stuff. Yeah, so I started getting nightmares, really bad nightmares, for about, like, to the point where, at this point, I didn't really have anxiety issues at all. I was just had, I had PTSD, basically. And I've never been anywhere different to other people. And, you know, I would stand at me sitting room window. I would look out from the sitting room window, and I'll be basically on guard, looking at the street, looking at anybody who went past, ready to pounce at a moment's notice. I couldn't relax. I was sitting in my chair, like, literally, a mouse would go past my window, I'll be like, who's that? Straight out my window, you know, and it's not normal. And a year later, this is going on for a year, by the way, and I started getting a job, and I got a job working in a care home, a really, really good care home, looking after young children, a really, really good job, you know, and I was surrounded by really, really good people. We had a really good staff team. Everybody supported each other, you know, it was really, really good. And when you're surrounded by positive people, and you realise that, you know, you're not really that positive yourself, and it's not by people look at me and go, oh, you're always moan on, or you're always twist on. It's not really a moan on and twist on, it's just, I don't, you know, see the world like other people. My brain doesn't work like other people's brains. And, you know, it's still this day now, even though I'm okay, it's my brain works differently to other people because it's just the way I'm wired up through the stuff that's happened. Anyway, when I was in this care home, this job, we're all talking and that, and I got on to the point of, like, dreams and stuff like that. And this one girl said, oh, I had a nightmare last night, and she explained the nightmare and whatever, and I was like, I get nightmares every night. And she was like, do you? I said, yeah. So I told her about these nightmares I get, and all my nightmares about the army, about being lost in the army, and, you know, but all of them about the army. everything was about the army, and I was getting nightmares about the army, and I told her about all this dreams and that, and I haven't really told anybody like the whole insight of what happened, and hopefully this video will explain quite a lot, and hopefully people will watch this video and go, all right, so you know, you can get help. I'll leave links in the bottom, phone numbers, if you want to get help. You can share it about whatever. But anyway, and I thought, this is not right. Me getting nightmares, like even though I've left, like, you know, and I realised I had depression in the army, because I'm not at least one of these people who, I don't want to go to the doctor and the doctor go, oh, I've got depression, so he gives you loads of tablets. Or if you go to the doctor, like for a back pain or you've got bad knee or whatever, they give you loads of paracetamol. It's just, what's the point of that? You know what I mean? They're not fixing the problem. It's just stupid. So I tried to think of ways where, like, I had depression because of the army, so I left the army. And when I left the army, I had PTSD. And when I found out, when I realised these nightmares weren't normal, up until that point, I was, and I'm trying to explain to you why my anxiety come about, because I would be fearful about going to bed because I knew me nightmares were going to happen. So I'll be really, really fearful about going to bed. And when I'm talking about these things, it's like now, the person I am now is completely different to what I was back then. And I just can't believe like I went through all that to this point, you know what I mean? And I was really fearful about going to bed, because I would really, like, to the point where I'd have an anxiety attack, because 10, 11 o'clock at night come, I'll go to bed, then my mind would be going 50 to the dozen, and I'd fall asleep and I'd have nightmares, you know. So I went to the doctors, spoke to the doctor about my problems and that. He referred us to this charity who deal with PTSD and depression and stuff. And 4 years later, I am the person I am today. You know, and it's been a long, long road. And I'm not, like last week when I was at work, I was by myself all week at work. And when you're by yourself and you've got anxiety and you've got like PTSD, your mind goes haywire. Like your mind's just going and going. There's no like off switch. Like some people can drive and just like switch off. My mind is going like all over the shop. And you've got the radio on, and you know, but even still, like, and it's so exhausting to the point where it comes to the end of the week where you just want, like, your brain just to like shut off, you know. And the way I was doing, the way I was shutting off my brain back then was I was drinking a lot, like, and people think like, you know, and I blame it on Germany. Germany's lovely, I love Germany, but the normal British lager doesn't really appeal to us, like Foster's and Carlin's 2 weeks. So, and I can probably, there's no word of it, I can probably drink like 15, 20 cans of Foster's or Carlin and be fine, because it's just so weak. So I drink like Kronenberg or Stella, you know. So when I was in the care home, up until the point when I had that conversation with the staff, it was I was drinking like 12 cans a night of Kronenberg, because that's what I was drinking back then. And I was only drinking not because I wanted to get drunk, because I knew if I drunk to the point where I would knock out, I wouldn't have these nightmares. Or if I did, I'd be so off me nut, I wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? So I was drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. And when I went to this psychiatrist and she told us all these things, and things started to fall in place, like, because people, even though, like, I'm on these tablets now, but when you use drink or drugs or anything like that for your PTSD or depression, it all comes down to you put the lid on it. Then when you stop drinking and you stop taking the drugs, the lid's gone and it's back. And that's the way it is. So you drink, the cap's on, you don't remember, you wake up, the cap's off, and it all comes back. And it's horrible. And it is really, really horrible. And all you can think about is, crap, I'm going to bed. I need a, and it's like that all the time. And this is how I got anxiety. I never had anxiety before, and this is how I got anxiety. Now, fast forward a couple of years, is I feel amazing, you know. And don't get us wrong, I've been bad days and good days. Everybody has good and bad days, but mental health in men, or in anybody for that matter, you're not crazy, you're not stupid, you know, and you're like, I don't know, you know, if you've got mental health issues, you need to go to the doctor, or if you don't, like, there's loads of charities out there. Combat stress is the one if you're in the army. Phone up combat stress. I've got a few mates who's phoned up combat stress. There's loads out there. You know, all you need to do, everybody knows these phone numbers. Everybody knows, well, everybody on my Facebook knows these phone numbers who's in the army, you know. So get help, ask for help. It's not like a bad thing. And I got help, asked for help, because, like, I wouldn't say I'm headstrong by the long shot, but what I am is I know where I've come to where I am now, you know what I mean? And what could have been before I joined the army is way different to what I am now. And I've never told anybody this. And the reason why I've got PTSD, because I was severely bullied. Not severely bullied, but severely mentally, physically, verbally bullied for about 10 years. Throughout my army career, 10 years. And the only way I can explain it is, I know how people who get raped feels, because when I was getting physically and mentally bullied, I would switch off. I would put it in the back, and my body wouldn't become mine. It would just be gone, you know. And I would just crack on. Because that's the way the army was, you know. But it's, you see, it's not, I don't really, there's people on my face who will probably watch this video and go, who actually did them things, but you know what it is, I don't hold any grudges at all. I never hold any grudges against anybody, to be honest. I'm such a quite laid back, lenient guy, you know, and all them experiences has made me to what I am today. I've got a really good job, you know, I've got a really good family, I've got a lovely wife, you know, my life's pretty good, but to this point, since I left the army to this point, the first year was tough, like really tough. And all I can say is there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, but there's a few things happened this week. Like, I've been thinking about doing these videos for ages, right? And I wanted to do like a weekly thing about self-help on, because I've been through the run of the mill, you know. And I've had PTSD, I've got PTSD, I've had depression, I've really got like massive anxiety issues. And if I can do it, me, right, 16 years in the army, I left severely bullied, physically and mentally bullied, to a point where, you know, I would switch off, right, and go into Iraq, been to Iraq on 8-month tours and that, seeing all the stuff that happens in Iraq, come back, right, had severe depression to the point where I would focus and have flash images in my head of driving against a tree, right? If I can control all that, and I know some people can't, you know, and mental health between men, people think men can't get depressed, they can't have mental health issues, or people with mental health issues think other men will think you're weak, and you're not. You know, it's just a normal thing that people go through. Now, what controls me is my anxiety. My anxiety controls me. And I probably shouldn't drink coffee, you know, but, you know, I probably shouldn't drink lager, but at the end of the day I work my socks off, so I want some sort of release from the norm, if that's the word to use. And like before, I would drink to control my PTSD. Now I drink because of pleasure. It's two separate issues. You know, I can have a drink now and not touch it for another 7-10 days. I don't really give a nick about it, but when I do drink, I like to have a good drink, because I was in Germany. You know, and if anybody's watching this and they have got some issues, then inbox us, because I've been through a lot, and I've been through a lot to the point where I've never told anybody about it, because I don't even tell my wife, and she lives with us every day. I don't tell anybody. And this video is solely to help people out, because something's happened last week where I don't know if I want to talk about it or I should talk about, but something's happened, and within my old battalion, a lad I served with, and it's just, you know, heartbreaking, really is heartbreaking. And nobody should suffer in silence, no matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you're, you know, in the army, if you're a rape victim, or if you're a drug addict, or anything like that. You shouldn't suffer in silence, because there's always help out there. And everybody, like, who I spoke to, everybody is just a phone call away, you know, and nobody really cares. Like, you know, even to this day, I don't talk to my wife about it. I don't talk to my mum, my family, because my problems are my problems. And I wouldn't think I've got a control of my own problems, but I like to control my own problems, if that makes sense. You know, and my reaching out was I'd rather go and talk to a doctor who has no ties to my family, no ties to anyone. So I'd rather talk to a doctor about them things, or a psychiatrist or anything like that, because everybody knows if you talk to your family, they'll start worrying, your wife, they'll start worrying, or they won't understand, you know, and that's the battle that I was having, is like, so go and talk to somebody who's not your family, because I know fine well, excuse me, that family worry. So, and that's another issue as well. If you tell your family, oh, I've got problems, you know, I've got PTSD, I've got depression, I've got anxiety, and blah, 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 then that's another worry on you, because you're worrying because they're worrying, and it's a big loop, you know what I mean? So if you just cut them off, and it's not you being nasty, it's just cut them off, go to the doctors, talk to the doctor, you know, and all you can do, like people think my personality is a moany, twisty personality, and it's not. That's me anxiety, it's me PTSD. It's heightened when I'm by myself. When I'm by myself, like last week, I was by myself all week driving about, and my anxiety was like through the roof, to a point where my brain wouldn't switch off. And that's not a bad thing. It's not nothing to do with my job. It's just me as a person, and I know that. And you know, and once you know these symptoms of yourself and your own mind and your own personality, it doesn't become easy, but you come at ease with what's going on, because you know. Like, if you, like, I didn't like going to crowded places full of people. I used to always look at the exit. Where's the exit? Because if somebody's going to kick off, like a bomb or, you know, guns or whatever, that's what I used to think. Like, if I was in Asda, I would have to look at where the fire exits are before I went in, because I would need to know if there's going to be a bomb in that shop. I need to know where the hell I'm running, because at the end of the day, you look after yourself. So I was off, you know. And that's what I was like. And it'd be loads of times I would like say to my wife, oh, I'm going, like, you go to the shop by yourself, I'm just going to play on my phone, or, you know, and my wife would be like, what? And she would go in the shop by herself. But that would be my anxiety getting to a point where it was too much, you know. And I'm on these tablets now. They've helped me massively, these tablets, you know. But I'm also not a fan of tablets at all, because there's so many other remedies out there that help you. These tablets sort of, and it doesn't matter what, there's a variety of tablets that help you out, and they make you all right for a while, but when you come off them, like I went away a few months ago and I forgot my tablets, and I didn't have my tablets for 2 days. When I come back, I was a shivering wreck. I was an absolute wreck, because I didn't have my tablets, and probably to the point where I'm actually addicted to them now, because they are highly addictive. But they make us feel okay, normal, you know what I mean? I don't feel anything from them. They help us go to sleep, and that's it. So, depending on what, you know, this video gets like, how many, you know, I don't even know why I'm talking to my phone. You know, if it helps one person out, it might be good. If it helps 10 people out, it might be good. But if anybody has any issues, PTSD, anxiety, you know, go and speak to someone. If it, you know, I wouldn't say go and speak to your family, because even though you love your family, they're never going to know what you've been through. They're never going to, this is from your military people as well, they're never going to know what you've been through, and they're never going to know how to cope with it, you know. And it doesn't matter if you PTSD through the army, PTSD through, you know, all your family can do is love you, and that's all you can ever ask, you know, is for them to love you. Because I don't really want to talk to my wife about what's going on in here, or my mum, or, you know, my sisters or whoever. But I'd rather go and unload on a therapist or a doctor. And when you do these things, all I can explain, it's like taking off a plaster off a wound. You take it off and it's raw, it's bleeding, it's pushing, all that sort of stuff. And when you talk to them, you come out, you feel absolutely ruined, you feel drained. But a couple of days later, it's better than keeping it in here, because you talk about all these things that's going on in your mind. Then a couple of days later, you think, yeah, I feel mint after telling them that. But if you tell your family and that, like, they instantly start to worry, like, straight away. You know, and that's not a bad thing. It's just because they care about you more than anything. But yeah, if you've got any problems, I mean, people can share this video about if you want. I mean, go and see somebody. Don't, like, suffer in silence. And if I can sit here now 4 years later, 5 years later, after the stuff I've been through, you know, and, you know, I've never really done anything different to my other comrades in the army. I've been to Iraq, I've been to Northern Ireland, I've been to Northern Ireland twice. You know, I've been in riots, I've had pepper bombs thrown at us, I've been in Iraq. You know, I've had all sorts of experiences, and I've also been violently physically bullied for about 10 years in my army career. And if I can come through all that, then find out, like, I had depression when I was in the army, not because of all that stuff, but because of, you know, just because the way it was, you know, I wanted to leave the army and I needed to leave the army, so I left the army. Then I had PTSD, I had anxiety, I've still got anxiety, you know, and if I can come through all that and come out the other end smiling, fair enough, I might be miserable, fair enough, I might be moaning all the time, but it's better than what could have happened if I stayed in the army, or it's better off, you know. And the biggest thing I can tell anybody with mental health issues is find out the root of the problem yourself and remove it. Surround yourself with positive people who are going to infuse you with positive energy and get rid of all the negative stuff out your life. Just get rid of it and do stuff like you like to do, you know. And that's helping me. And it probably the job I was at the care home probably helps out a lot. But, you know, it's just surround yourself with positive people and try to stay positive, because life is beautiful. It is beautiful, and it's short. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to, it's been half an hour, but yeah. See you later.